Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys. Today we're going to talk about knowledge. Is knowledge empirical or is it ethical? Okay, what am I to get you introduced to this is about can non-Muslim Islamic scholars do they have knowledge or not? That's the question we'll start off with. Non-Muslim Islamic scholars or people that study Islam, do they have knowledge or not? Okay. So, and this will tie in, by the way, to the old rhetoric and polemics that people throw against each other, against each other's scholars. Okay. Now, if it is possible for non-Muslim, even atheists or Christian or whoever, to go and study Islam and have knowledge, what is that knowledge or not? Is that knowledge like he literally knows the subject? Do you understand? Let's say that there's a usul fiqh, for instance. He goes and he studies Shafi madhab and their principles, and he knows it. There's nothing you can do. Like, okay, maybe I'm already answering the question. Me, I believe, see, knowledge is empirical. The ethical part comes later. That's like another thing entirely. But for someone to know something, it's like 1 plus 1 equals to 2, or you know quadratic equation. Once you know quadratic equation, no one can take it away from you. You know it. There's nothing. You cannot say, you're a bad person, therefore you don't know that quadratic equation is true. No. So you need to detach knowledge. What's it called? You need to detach ethics from knowledge. Not every time you have to put it together. Maybe the kind of person you like listening to, you might use the ethics, okay? But when it comes to knowledge, it has to be empirical, okay? Now, to further elaborate on this, I've seen a lot of even Muslims. Whenever I tell them, like, okay, there's this scholar that is a non-Muslim, but he's a scholar. He knows the subject. You cannot, anything that he says, you cannot go as a layman and say, and that's the attitude of most Muslims. Anyway, maybe you don't trust them, fine, but you cannot deny that they have that knowledge. Okay, so that's for non-Muslim. Now, if it is true for non-Muslim, then it is definitely true for what's it called, Muslims that you disagree with, which means that you cannot write someone off just because he's not what's it called, Salafi, for instance, or he doesn't have the same akida as you. You cannot write off their knowledge. They are knowledgeable, and you probably not. You are not. Okay. So I see this kind of, once we find, let's say this guy's akida is wrong, and then you write off his entire work. In fact, it cannot be quoted on anything. You just condemn them entirely. Whereas that doesn't make any sense. If we are talking about knowledge, for instance, if you ask him a question about faith, he knows it. Okay, maybe in the aspect you disagree with him, maybe in akida or something, maybe you would not go and ask him. Of course not. But to deny that he's knowledgeable is actually wrong because he actually knows the topic. If non-Muslim can know it, then why would a Muslim not know it? Something that is not even difficult. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this, that people always mix it together. They always mix knowledge with ethics. That okay, let's say there's a bad person. He's a bad guy, okay, but he knows the subject. He's the best guy in the class. He's the one that passes. If they give an exam, he passes. He gets 100, while the others are struggling with 60. That guy knows what he's talking about. Now, for some reason, that guy is a bad person. He doesn't treat people nice and is arrogant. Whatever you want to say about him. Does he have knowledge or not? He does have knowledge. You can say, maybe his knowledge does not benefit him, all those stuff. But what I'm saying is that if someone has knowledge, he has knowledge. You cannot take it away from them. And that kind of rhetoric about what's it called? Throwing people off just because you disagree with them on a particular issue, I don't think is actually reasonable. And it's always tied in, they'll call them ignorant. Okay, so they end up calling people that are scholars, other people's scholars, they call them ignorant. Why would you say that? Why would you call another person's scholar ignorant? Okay, and you probably don't know anything, most likely. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this. Knowledge can be from anyone. You can benefit from anybody. You can knowledge. You might say like you don't trust some people because, by the way, to be fair, you see, there's always presupposition and a kind of conclusion that somebody will make. Okay, so this will be the only place I will agree to some certain extent. which means that, but it will apply across board. What do I mean? Listen to this. Everyone has presupposition. The knowledge comes in, they have that knowledge, yes, but the conclusions that they make might be motivated by their akida. It might be motivated by their point of view. For instance, an atheist, his conclusion that he makes might be a very skeptical approach to Islam. Yeah, that is true. That will be the place where you might disagree. I don't agree with your conclusion, but you cannot deny that he knows it. So that's the only place I agree. But listen to this also. That would mean that everybody has presupposition. Okay? It just depends on whose presupposition we're going to follow. Whose presupposition is correct. You might not be able to do that. Let people be the judge of that. So, for instance, if you have a tafsir, this tafsir is written by an Athari, and this tafsir is written by an Ashari. When they get to some kind of places, for example, the part of the hand and stuff like that, they will come to different conclusions because they have presuppositions from their Akida. Okay, so you'll be like, don't read that person's tafsir. It's filled with what? Okay, both of them have knowledge of the Arabic. They have knowledge of this, but the presupposition is there. That's the only people. But you cannot now say one person is not a scholar. He's a scholar too. He doesn't agree with your own principle. And you just have to leave it at that. But people don't like this. They don't like to be in the kind of our view is just one of many. They want to be the objective view. And anybody that is not agreeing with that has to be knowingly going against the evidence, knowingly disobeying God or something like that, so that it gives them like kind of confidence that yeah, our position is true and everybody knows it and somehow they are not following it. That's how people always seem to portray it. But I just want you to get something from this video. Knowledge is empirical, okay? The conclusions you come to is motivated by your presupposition, wherever you are, okay? And that's also we have to leave it at that. And you cannot call someone a jahil. You cannot call someone ignorant just because he doesn't come to the same conclusion as you. You both all have the same information, the same knowledge, but your conclusions are different. Especially intra-Islamic stuff. See, maybe if someone is not a Muslim, maybe you can even have some kind of other arguments. But those ones are still scholars. They know their field. If you ask them like some basic questions, they will answer you. It's just maybe they just come to they can want to input their own skepticism or some kind of their own baggage that they are bringing to, but they actually know the subject, so they can be scholars. They are scholars, okay? So because if you use the argument that anyone that doesn't agree with you is not a scholar, then all your own scholars, there are people that disagree with them too, and they will not be scholars. They will be jahil too. But no one wants to say that. No one will say that. For instance, let me see if I can bring like two opposing people. For instance, like the video I just made recently, Ibn Taymiyyah, Sheikh Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, and Imam al-Ghazali. You have an Ashari, you have an Athari. Who is a scholar? Do you know? Like the video I just made, some people, they don't even call Imam al-Ghazali Imam. They call him al-Ghazali. Not because they think he's not an Imam, he's not someone that you can be listened to. Whereas I've seen this is one of the things why I left the whole thing. I'm serious. I saw somebody. I was a Salafi. I used to think highly of Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah and all those our own scholars. And then when I saw the other part, they're speaking about them, I'm like, wait, don't this guy know that this is Sheikh al-Islam? And then I realized that this Sheikh al-Islam is from us. It's from us. We are the ones that give him that title of Sheikh al-Islam because he agrees with us. And they call him also Ibn Taymiyyah. They don't even call him Sheikh or Imam. They call him Ibn Taymiyyah. I'm like, what? How would you call him that? So this is to show you that everyone is biased towards their own, belief. Okay? You cannot get that out. But I'm just showing you. So if you take these two scholars now, both of them have knowledge. You cannot say they don't have knowledge. It doesn't make any sense to say they are ignorant or they are jahil. It's stupid. The argument is stupid because they know they have knowledge. You just disagree with their conclusions. That's all you can say. So no scholar is a jahil in that sense. It's just that their principles are not the same. And therefore, it logically follows that they will differ. And you just have to leave it at that. Let people be the judge of that. Okay? So I hope you benefit something from this video. Okay? So when you see people speak like that, or they want to refute other people's scholars, as long as it's not about conclusions, if it's about the content of their knowledge, Don't ever agree with that. Okay, so let me see what you guys think in the comment section. See you guys later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.